The towers already had a terrorist attack against them. It's not surprising that you would get insurance on it. They'd already tried to blow up the Twin Towers before.
I didn't know that part.
Okay, yeah, there was a 93 bombing where a dude parked a truck.
I'm not saying that you trust the government blindly.
You gotta listen to me, dude. I'm not saying that. I don't trust it blindly. You trust people on BitChute blindly, okay? Chill.
And you still trust them.
If you're gonna listen to me, you need to listen to what the f I'm saying instead of just repeating like these retarded.
What the fuck you're saying.
No, you're a bot, dude. You repeat the most bot talking points ever, okay? So this is my understanding, and I'd have to go back and read more, okay? Because I don't know everything. This is my understanding for how justification.
But I'm the bot.
This is my understanding for how you don't even know anything about any of these topics, okay?
So homework before you watch a movie, yeah.
Because I like to do my homework. The justification for the Iraq War came from a special division that was created by Bush. This is the issue at the end of the day, okay? The issue is that you have a highly complicated event that's involving lots of people across really the entire world. If you look hard enough, you can find a bunch of things that it's like, isn't that kind of weird? What a weird coincidence. But then at the end of the day, the alternative hypotheses have insane claims to be made that there is no evidence for. So
you don't think there's enough weird coincidences? What do you think about that call on the plane where she's like, it's tape at the end? Did you get to that part?
You can't hear anything that's being said.
But did she actually sound empathetic in that one? How were the 90s phones working on the plane? Have you ever made a phone call on the plane? And all these people are calling their family members on the phone.
So for one, phone technology was different back then, okay? It
was better? It was better in 2001?
So it's not a matter of it being better or worse, okay? There are here, you remember when 5G was coming out? That was better,
yeah.
Right? But the transmission range was very small because of the frequency of the waves, right? Just because something is better doesn't mean it's going to transmit farther, right? I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but don't radio waves go out farther into the universe than any other type of wave because like the length of where they're at on the EM spectrum? But it's not like radio waves are the most sophisticated form of like digital communication we have, you know? But that's like a highly technical thing. There were phones that could call people back then on planes, right? Like they were the air phones. Do you ever remember seeing? You don't because you're like 23. But yeah, way back in the day, no, yeah, there were phones in the back of planes called air phones that you could like swipe a credit card through and call people. Yeah.
What about the plane hit the Pentagon and the tail didn't fit and the cameras weren't actually recording and one of the camera looked edited and all the telephones and all the recordings from the
Here, so
got buried and the plane that landed in Pennsylvania, the fact that it went underground and then 6 miles away, like brother, an explosion went 6 miles away in a field in Pennsylvania.
So this is the question that I have for you, okay? Ready? Because I'll admit there are a lot of weird coincidences, right? But here's like the question I have for you, okay? So this is what's the story that's kind of being presented on the other side, okay? 4 planes took off. Those planes were swapped with military drones. Those military drones were all flown into the buildings and nobody noticed that. And then those 4 commercial planes were landed somewhere. The passengers were forced on those planes to call their family members to make it look legitimate. One of them, while being held at gunpoint to call a family member, that Cece lady, also whispered, "It's framed," or "It's a frame," or whatever. And I guess they didn't notice. We have no records of any of those planes being hijacked by the government, no records of any of those bodies being found, no records of any agents or anybody saying anything about the civilians that were stolen and murdered and hidden.
Is he right?
Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, they leaked a bunch of shit from the government. They didn't find anything related to this. No president, nobody from the FBI, nobody in any intelligence agencies came out and said anything. Apparently, everybody in our government was cool with murdering all these people, and there's not a shred of evidence for any of it. Why are you content to say, well, that must have been what happened? Because you still look at the official story and you see a bunch of coincidences. Like, doesn't that make you wonder, like, okay, well...
What coincidences? They didn't even have footage of all the hijackers, not one image of them in the airport?
I don't know how easy it was to track people on footage back then. Like, I don't know how easy it is to get through an airport and you just don't end up on a camera. But you don't know either, right? You don't know what security footage looked like in 2001. See, like on one end, people will say,
yeah, I actually showed the security footage and they couldn't find one of the 19
you can see it, but you don't know the coverage, you don't know the angles, you don't know how many cameras are being used, right? On one end, you'll say, oh, well, every airport must have had perfect footage of like all this shit. But then when we look at the videos, I said the Pentagon, those cameras were like 1 frame per second. Those were like the worst cameras in the world.
What did you check? Did any of you check get convinced by that documentary?
I don't know. We're only 3 hours through it. But I mean, like, I know that there are people that are probably going to look at it and go like, wow, that is a lot of coincidences. But like, you've got a whole alternative theory here that you have not a shred of evidence for.
You haven't been persuaded at all?
No.
You don't think that's an alarming amount of coincidences?
What I was hoping for was that they would be making claims that I would have to run through and factually disprove. But instead, it's just a bunch of conjecture saying, isn't that weird? Isn't it kind of strange that he was unavailable for 30 minutes? Isn't it kind of weird that this person did that?
There's a good amount. Wait, do a poll. Do a poll in your chat real quick. I want to see what it is because I'm seeing a couple yeses more than I thought. Can you do a poll? See how many people were convinced
in my
by the
DGG chat or my YouTube chat?
In the YouTube chat.
The YouTube chat might be fully convinced because that's all conservatives in there. But I'll ask. Hold on. Are you?
Oh, your chat's all conservatives on YouTube?
On YouTube, there are a lot of conservatives, and then DGGers are my liberals. Are you convinced by the documentary that 9/11 was a false flag? Yes or no?
Not even providing any conspiracy, just saying that they lied about it. Because there are so many Dick Cheney is clearly lying.
How do you know? But the thing is, like, where's the evidence for a single one of these lies? It's all just weird coincidences.
All the inconsistencies.
What is the inconsistency?
The hiding, the documents that they keep classified. The lying in the interviews.
For the lying in the interviews, there was that one guy that they had, the Department of Transportation Mendy or whatever. I don't know if he's lying or if he's just old and he was getting shit wrong, right?
22%? 22% of your chat got convinced by the documentary?
Yeah, that's more
than I thought.
That's my YouTube chat. They're pretty crazy out there.
Wait, where are you at? Can you share your screen? I want to keep watching with you.
I don't even know. I can't share my screen. It's really complicated. Because I have your Discord is on my streaming computer.
Oh, DGG?
And, no, your Discord is on my streaming computer. I have a second computer that I use for gaming and watching the documentary, so I can't really like share screen on it. Also, I'm not doing that with you. I'm waiting until I finish watching. I have 2 more hours to go. I'll probably be done tomorrow, I imagine, with this. But
you're doing homework. You're taking notes. So what are your debate points? Oh, you don't want to tell me. I'm the one. Or you're mostly going to be debating Nick. I'm there to just scream and be entertaining.
Well, it's just like, so like, here's the thing. On one end, like, we can point out weird consistencies with the official story, but there's no evidence for the other story. And then on the other hand, we could just look at the official story. Well, let's look at Al-Qaeda, okay? The World Trade Centers have already been bombed once. Bin Laden is on record with a whole bunch of reasons for wanting to attack America. Al-Qaeda has a series of doing attacks like this.
He was a CIA agent.
No, he wasn't. What do you mean?
Yeah, he was.
No, Bin Laden?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Didn't he have meetings with Reagan back in the 80s?
I would have to look this up. I don't even know what claim this is. Like every random claim, I have to research.
How did all those pilots fly so fast and so accurately without any training?
Okay, so here's the question, okay? You're presenting this as evidence that...
I'm not presenting that as evidence. I'm just asking you to like answer simple questions.
No, hold on. I'm trying to show you how the framing of this question is misleading. So the question is, how did these pilots fly in such a highly irregular manner that they were able to guide the airplanes right into the buildings? Wouldn't that be exactly what like an untrained pilot would do? If they were highly trained, wouldn't you have expected to see them take safer paths into the buildings and more controlled paths rather than like crazy?
If they were better pilots, they would have flown slower?
No, they would have flown in a more controlled manner rather than attempting risky maneuvers.
Didn't you see all the interviews from those pilots saying they don't even understand how it was possible for them to do that?
Pilots aren't going to know the maximum capability of commercial airliners because they're commercial pilots. They're civilian pilots. They're not. If you ask a civilian pilot, "Are you able to go 550 knots on approach to a building?" He's not going to know. He's never done a maneuver like that. No, commercial, civilian pilot. They're not going to know what the max capability of a fucking 757 is.
A trained pilot knows less than an untrained pilot.
No, I'm saying that a trained pilot isn't going to know what the maximum fucking capabilities of a civilian airliner is when they're trying to crash into a fucking building.
An untrained pilot does.
And an untrained pilot, they're on a different mission.
Yes or no? They do? They know the maximum capabilities of a plane, but a trained pilot doesn't.
They might not know the maximum capabilities of a plane, but they're willing to push it until the plane literally fucking explodes. A civilian pilot isn't going to do that.
Okay.
Do you understand that point? Hold on.
No.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get you on at least a couple things. I should be forcing concessions. Will you agree that we would never ask a civilian airline pilot, what do you think are the maximum capabilities of your plane used in a suicide bombing mission? Commercial airline civilian pilot is not going to know the answer to that question.
No, I'm pretty sure they interviewed all types of pilots, even plane experts. It's like, oh yeah, this plane can never go to this level of, they can never go this fast.
Sure.
It wasn't just commercial airline pilots that they were interviewing. They interviewed
some of the,
like, and they even interviewed military pilots.
Okay, here's a question. Okay, you've driven. Do you have a driver's license?
Yeah, duh.
What kind of, oh yeah, you have a fucking, do you say what kind of car you have?
I have a Charger, yeah.
Okay, you have a Charger. Do you have over 10,000 miles on it?
Yeah, 70.
Do you know what the max RPM that motor can go to before it explodes?
No. What's the point?
You have no idea what would actually destroy your car.
I'm an expert. I'm a normie with the driver's license.
But I'm trying to show you this. If I was to get into your car and I wanted to do a suicide drive with your car, I probably would find out what the max fucking RPM for that motor is before it blows, or before a governor or whatever kicks in. Because I'm trying to suicide drive the car. But as a civilian passenger, you're not going to know the answer to that. You're not going to have an idea. You don't know what the max capability of your car is because you're driving a civilian circumstance.
So a rando, an untrained, some guy without a driver's license can get in my car, drive it faster than I ever have, and drive it accurately enough to hit a fucking small target like a tower or the fucking Pentagon.
Potentially, yeah. If I were to get in your car and I was going on a suicide mission, I bet I could drive that car crazier than you ever have in your life. It wouldn't even be close.
Not even an expert. I'm an expert at driving my car. I've been driving it like every day, just like a trained pilot. You're saying a rando, a fucking 16-year-old kid who just got his permit, could drive it better because he's on a suicide mission and he could accurately drive it faster than me.
I didn't say he could drive it better. What I said was that he could approach limits on that vehicle that you don't even know exist.
Approaching limits is better.
What? I'm not saying it's better. What I'm saying is that no, it's not. Approaching the limit on something doesn't make you a better driver. That's not even close to true.
I would like to drive my car as fast and as efficiently and as accurately as possible. And you're saying an untrained person who doesn't give a f on a suicide mission, who's untrained, under the pressure of hijacking a plane with fucking civilians on there and pilots who are scared of a box cutter, can drive it better than the trained pilots. What the fuck are you talking
better.
about?
First of all, I don't know if a trained pilot wouldn't be able to hit a building, okay? Number one. Number two, most of the difficulty in flying an airliner isn't taking off and landing, which the hijackers didn't have to do for any of the planes. And number three, all I was saying is that they could push limits on those planes harder than any civilian pilot ever would. Because a civilian pilot is not trying to fucking suicide bomb his fucking plane, right?
Okay,
much the same way that if what?
We're going to go in circles about this. I was listening to you earlier talk about this. Okay, can you explain Tower 7 then?
I haven't gotten to that part yet, so I haven't read all the fucking NIS.
Have you heard about Tower 7 before?
Of course I've heard Tower 7. There's no way that the debris could have brought it down, blah, 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 blah.
So what's your explanation for Tower 7?
I don't know. I haven't researched it yet.
You don't know?
That's what I've just said 3 times.
Okay. I really want to watch. What part of the documentary are you at?
I'm at like 3 hours, but I'm going to be sleeping soon. It's 1:40 a.m. for me.
Do your homework. Just gonna be a good. I can't believe. And yo, 22% of your chat just flipped on it. I bet they all believed it before.
Like 40% of my chat are fucking Trump fans. Unironically, my YouTube chat is a wild place.
Just the most basic one. How the fuck did the plane that crashed in the field in Pennsylvania just bury underneath the ground? How far did it say it went? The whole plane disappeared, and then they showed every other plane crash since then, and the plane is there, available. Yeah. That plane just disappeared, and they found debris 6 miles away from the collision. How the f does an explosion go 6 miles away?
Sure. So here's the questions. Okay.
You're not answering the question.
I'm trying to explain. You're asking me really complicated questions. You're trying to force a yes or no out of me. These are unprecedented things, right? So. Number one, you acknowledge that this event has never happened historically before, with people hijacking planes with the attempts to crash them into buildings in the United States. I don't even know if it happened.
Especially a country with the highest security protocols of all time, and the fact that they were floating around in circles.
Hold on. No.
Undetected, and all the other planes,
Dude,
all the other available planes. Oh no! Before you continue, all the other
conspiracy ramble. Okay.
I'm just saying, are conveniently in military training right now, and all the government officials at that time were secretly in a meeting, and all the other ones are driving away to mountains. But yeah, continue.
Hold on.
You're looking at notes? You really doing homework like that?
No, who's texting us?
Someone's in the Discord texting?
No, on our phones. Who is that? I don't know. I don't have the number saved on my phone.
Oh, it's Fresh and Fit.
Which one? Is that Myron?
Oh, Myron, yeah. You want to get him to join? I already had Fresh earlier in the shit. Let's get Myron. Yeah.
I haven't watched the last 2 hours. If you want to bring him in, fucking go for it, dude.
He's on your side. He's a Fed, so like he just like Fed.
I don't know what that means. Apparently, he thinks the raid on Trump was bullshit. So if you want to drag him in, go for it.
Each time we get 2 Feds in here, Myron and Destiny.
Fuck, what did you just ask me? Oh, here's something that the documentary did and then they ignored. Do you remember when they showed you the evidence of that plane crashing? I think it was an F-4 Phantom, crashing right into the wall and it fucking disintegrated?
Yeah.
Right? So it shows pictures of like, this is what other airplane crashes look like. But generally, when a plane is crashing, right, usually there's some attempt by the people in the cockpit to get control over the plane. So I don't know if a crash like that, where a plane is exploding or losing like structural integrity mid-air and then crashing, that's probably going to look a lot different than a plane nosediving into the fucking ground at a 45-degree angle. So it's not surprising to me that the burial sites or the crash sites of these two planes are going to look way different. We already saw a video early in this documentary where it showed what it looked like when a plane crashed right into a concrete wall and it fucking disintegrated. So
does it make any sense that a plane, when it crashes, buries under the dirt like somebody's slivering underground?
When it's going 500 miles per hour? Do you know
what type of impact is that?
I don't, dude, neither of us know, because neither of us have looked at a 100-ton plane going 500 miles per hour right into the fucking dirt.
And that makes sense to you that the debris flew 6 miles away?
I haven't researched the debris yet. That's something that I have to look up, because they said they found debris 6 to 8 miles away. I don't know yet what that debris was. I have to look it up.
Myron says he didn't have Discord.
He doesn't have how the fuck does he not have Discord?
I know, they're boomers, bro. We've been dealing with these boomers. Same thing with Fresh. He didn't even know what Discord was. He could probably just do it on his phone. If he downloads Discord on his phone, he could just order his phone real quick.
Sure, tell him to download Discord. They should have it anyway, okay? It's fucking 2022, all right?
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Lacking, especially as a streamer.
Yeah, especially as a streamer. If he doesn't have Discord, Hassan was right. They fell off, okay? That's
my chat loves Nick, but he's telling me not to have Nick on anymore, or else I'm gonna get a no-fly list.
Wait, who's saying that?
Myron.
Oh, I didn't say any of that, so don't.
Yeah, what's up, Myron? Can you download Discord on your phone? It might be too much work to do it on your computer right now, unless you have Mo or some of the producers there. Yeah. Discord? Yeah, Discord. Boomer. On his computer, that he's gonna have to like figure out how to connect his camera. It's gonna be fucking up.
It should auto detect all that shit, right?
I want to read your chat right now. I want to figure out why they got convinced. Can you do a poll? Can you ask, or no, that's the super
I've already got like a lot of conservatives in my YouTube chat, so I don't know if they've been convinced or if they just already believe it.
So are you saying this conspiracy theory is a liberal conservative issue now, and not just common sense?
No, it's an establishment, anti-establishment conspiracy theory, and it tends to be believed more on the right than the left. There used to be left-leaning people that believe it, but now anti-establishment lefties might believe it. But the thing is that usually this conspiracy theory, not to sound like a dig, and I'm not trying to personally attack anybody, but it usually is rooted in anti-Semitism, which tends to be a flavor more of the far, far right than the far, far left.
I'm not even an anti-Semite.
Sure, I know. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying that a lot of the 9/11 truther stuff usually comes from the idea that Israel has like done things like this whole Goldstein guy and owning the building is usually put. Like I think Ryan Dawson's a big proponent of that. That Israel was the one.
He made $7 billion. That Jewish guy Goldstein, he made $7 billion, and he had an insurance policy installed like what? 10 months before?
Bro, the towers already had a terrorist attack against them. It's not surprising that you would get insurance on it. They'd already tried to blow up the Twin Towers before. What?
Did they? I didn't know that part.
Okay, yeah. There was a 93 bombing where a dude parked a truck in the part of... I think they were part of Al-Qaeda, right? Holy shit, wait, I need to check that out. Where he parked a truck in the basement, and there's like 100-foot hole that it caused it to explode. And the goal of that was literally to cause the building to collapse and fall into the other one.
Yeah, Destiny chat. What in the documentary made you flip? I'm reading your chat right now. What made you flip? A lot of them are saying. I don't understand, Destiny. Why are you so quick to defend people in power?
I'm not quick to defend people in power. I'm just looking at like what is the most reasonable story. There's a terrorist organization that hates the United States. There's a prolific writer, Osama bin Laden, who's got tons of reasons why he hates us. Like he's written extensively about it. You can go read his fatwas. You can go read all of the information that he gives for it. And Al-Qaeda has a history of doing exactly these types of coordinated multi-bombing attacks across. They encourage sectarian violence all across the Middle East. So to see them do another one in the United States is like, yeah, it's pretty consistent with everything. Not to say that your story is impossible. Your story could be possible, but there's not a shred of evidence for it. It's just trying to point out inconsistencies in the main story. Like, here's a question.
I mean, your evidence is all stuff that the government told you. How do you decide what's evidence?
Hold on. It is. It's not. It's not just our government, okay? It's every government around the world, and it's all of the independent parties except for the 9/11 truther movement that have looked into it.
You get to the part where Putin was warning about that, and all the other countries were warning about an attack on the World Trade Center.
I'm sure that there's probably been talks of attacks on all sorts of things in the United States constantly. We're always under different threats constantly. How credible they are or how serious they are or how much we know about it is always something that intelligence agencies are wrestling with. If you work for any sort of intelligence agency or anything in the military at all, they'll give you literally daily threat assessments where they say, hey, probably shouldn't travel here. Hey, this is a little bit dangerous. Hey, don't go there. Doesn't mean there's always a terrorist attack coming.
He conveniently ignored a lot of it. Dude, who's Ryan Dawson? Someone said Ryan Dawson is the lead researcher on
Ryan Dawson is an insane conspiracy theory. You can talk to him on your own if you want, but if I have to talk to him...
Can you add it? Is he online right now?
No, I don't have his added, but if I was going to talk to him, I need to prepare to talk to that guy, because he's like way off into the, like, Jews are behind every fucking evil in the world, like crazier than Fuentes. So I would have to specially prepare for that conversation too.
Damn, do these Jew haters know that I'm 12% Jew?
I think 12% is probably low enough to be okay. You'll fly under the radar.
Okay with it?
Just like the planes did, I guess.
That's the craziest part, bro. All those planes went undetected. They didn't shoot it down.
Hold on, wait. I gotta say something earlier too, because a lot of this is people just don't remember the time. You're talking about how, like, we have the best security in the world, et cetera, et cetera. In 2000, if it was like your birthday, pilots would walk you through the cockpit. Okay, they didn't even lock the doors to that shit. Like, airplane security was a totally different place in the United States before 9/11. When people say 9/11 changed everything about security, it really did. You know, I'm not shitting on you for your age, but like, you wouldn't remember because it's always been like this. But there wasn't, like, the TSA didn't exist before 9/11. I'm pretty sure to get on a plane, you just went through a metal detector. There wasn't like the giant scatter plot machines or whatever the fuck. You didn't take your shoes off and do all that shit. And the cockpit door was open when you were on flights. You could walk in and, like, look at shit. I remember they did that for kids on their birthday. They let you go and check.
Wait, what did Ryan Dawson crush you on?
We had a debate on Middle East stuff a long time ago where...
You're an Islamophobe?
No. But I think, was it over the Syrian civil war? He just had he had a deeper level knowledge on almost every topic that we were talking about. So I basically had to concede the whole conversation to him. But in retrospect, I see that almost every single thing he believes in, he discredits every official narrative or every official investigation. And he believes every, like, side investigation that proves his conspiracy. So, like, in Syria, he believes that most of the chemical weapon attacks were done by the rebels and not by Assad. Or that, like, all of the international organizations like the UN or anybody related to them, they're investigating, they're all lying to, like, benefit the United States or Israel or whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, but that was a debate from a long time ago.
My chat's going crazy. I got a lot of truthers in my chat.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Bin Laden published a letter to the world where he said why he did it. He said it was because of the... Oh, wow. He said it was because of the Jews.
Well, part of it is our support for Israel. Yes. The Arabs... especially, is it Salafi? Fuck, I forget the name of it. But there's a sect of Islam, of Islamists that are trying to, like, establish, like, a worldwide caliphate, and part of that is an extreme hatred of Israel and Jewish people in the Middle East and Israel's treatment of Palestinians, and that's one of the big things that Bin Laden, especially in his group, didn't like about us. Right? His motivations were, it was our support for Israel, it was attacks against Muslims in Somalia, it was attacks or support in the Philippines in the Moro conflict, which I think was Russia or the Soviet Union, supporting Israel against Muslims in Lebanon, supporting atrocities against Muslims in Chechnya, which was Russia.
You don't think it was likely that Bin Laden just took credit? Because we were supplying his people with, we sell weapons to them.
No, hold on. In the 80s, there was a war in Afghanistan, okay? There was a Soviet-Afghan war. And as part of that war, we supported a group called the Mujahideen, where the Bin Laden was probably a part of. But we didn't supply him directly or train him directly. Now later, after that war, people like Bin Laden and al-Zawahiri, I think, would go off to form Al-Qaeda, and they would try to draft fighters from that. But we weren't directly funding Bin Laden or directly giving him money or training.
How was that not directly?
Because it wasn't. Because when people say, like, we didn't fund Al-Qaeda directly, and I think Bin Laden was already part of a pretty wealthy family. But when we were funneling money to that conflict, we were giving the money to Pakistan, the ISI, I think, I don't remember what the abbreviation is, but it's the Pakistani intelligence services that were then taking that money and then allocating it to people in Pakistan. But the United States has never had a direct connection to Bin Laden, insofar as I'm aware. But Bin Laden, I'm pretty sure, was already a pretty wealthy dude.
Francisco Cosiga Mossad. Do you know who that is?
No.
Francesco.
Mossad is going to be like Israeli intelligence. That's like Jewish shit, basically, right? Like, I think the Mossad is like the NSA for Israel. So anytime there's like anything that happens around the world, people will be like, oh, it was the Mossad. That just means that, like, the Jews were behind it, basically.
He's a normie. He said he doesn't know how to type his Discord in. Just tell him to friend you. I'll just type that in.
Add.
Chat, I'm gonna have to do 2 feds at once. He's on your side on this.
Yeah, we'll see, dude. Trump did a lot of things for...
Okay, here we go.
Also, when you were talking about like that trained pilot shit, right? Do you remember in Seattle that dude that had never flown a plane before that was doing fucking loop-de-loops in that single row commercial airliner?
No.
You never saw that?
What's the link called?
You probably YouTube.
So are you saying that being anyone could just be a pilot? I can't even fly in Flight Simulator, and then just normies are getting into a plane and doing whatever the fuck they want.
Hold on, you're missing an essential part of the story. Okay, there's a difference between correctly flying a plane, like taxiing, takeoff, landing, and doing that safely, versus
flying into a tower, which is way more difficult and precise and faster.
I don't think so.
And then
versus
also
taking a plane that's already in the air, under pressure. What, they're locked in a cockpit?
I would say it's not. They're under pressure. They got all the passengers in the plane. They have to like tell the pilots to get out with a box cutter. You're saying it's not pressure?
Dude, I'm pretty sure the only one that had pressure was the one that went down in Pennsylvania. For the other three planes, it's not like the passengers were revolting. Because why would the passengers revolt? They don't want to go get fucking killed, right? A lot of them.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. If you're a passenger on a plane, aren't you going to fight back? Aren't you going to go fuck with the pilot?
Dude, listen. I'm trying to make you understand this. You don't understand how unprecedented this is. This has never, ever, 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 ever happened in the world before. That jets are taken over and flown into buildings, dude. I know that like in your mind, it's like, oh, people take over jets and fly them into buildings. That was never a thing. For hijackings that happened in the past, I'm just telling you that you're wrong. When you hijack a plane, you hijack
That's not what I'm saying, though.
No, hold on.
I'm saying,
no, stop. Let me finish. Can I finish? I gotta finish. I gotta finish. No.
Okay, so
you're not. Why would you do that? If somebody hijacks a plane, usually...
You're just gonna sit and watch it happen? Someone else is not gonna try to take over the plane?
So you're gonna run into the cockpit and get everybody killed?
They're already gonna die!
No, they're not. That's not what people are thinking, dog. You hijack a plane, you make demands for money, you land it somewhere else. That's typically what people were doing. Nobody's hijacking planes and flying them into fucking buildings. Nobody had ever done this before in the United States.
Pilots thinking. It's just with the box cutter they got manipulated that easily?
You don't have to manipulate with a box cutter, you just stab somebody.
The pilots got stabbed, is that true?
I think some of them did, and I think some of them didn't. I'd have to go back and look into each and every plane. Oh, and also I'm pretty sure one of the hijackers on each plane had a fake bomb strapped to them too, where they said they'd blow the bomb up as well. So why the fuck would you fight against hijackers? The only people that did it were the ones that went down in Pennsylvania because they'd already heard that other planes had been suicide bombed.
Let me add Myron real quick.
Okay. All right.
I'm a private pilot, and I know airlines are very different, but planes aren't as hard to fly as you think. It's all the other aspects of flying that you don't need if you're on a suicide mission.
Yeah, like I've heard that like pinging towers correctly and then landing and takeoff are always gonna be your hardest parts, your most fucked up parts of flight. That's where most accidents occur. That's why we have rules about like your seatbelt or not standing during takeoff, because that's when like 98% of plane accidents occur. But if you're literally just trying to suicide bomb into a tower, there's a lot of stuff you don't have to worry about. Like I said, like if I were to drive your car, like I could push that car harder than you've ever pushed in your entire life. Not because I'm a skilled driver, but just because I don't give a fuck. I'm just trying to kill myself. Okay, I'm adding him to this call. It's gonna make a new one, okay? Jesus Christ. Okay, hey, what's up? You know that we're live everything, right, Myron?
Yeah, no, I know you guys are live. What's up, man?
Just say words that you shouldn't say on stream.
What was that?
Don't say any words that you shouldn't say on stream, please.
Yeah, no, I got you, bro. I'm not gonna mess up your stream. I'm just here. I was listening to your guys' conversation. I thought it was really interesting, so I figured, hey, I'll just jump in real fast. Why not?
Bro, I had Fresh on earlier too. You know that?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that.
So what do you think about this debate going on right now? I mean, you're Fed, so you believe in what they said. You're on their side.
The official story.
So my thing is this: from all the evidence that was gathered, okay, it was very obvious that there was a attack by some foreign nationals that hate the United States. So my thing is, because I've seen Loose Change, I've seen these conspiracy theory movies, and they make some compelling arguments, but it's still not going to disprove the overwhelming amount of evidence that shows that, yes, we were attacked by a bunch of terrorists, man, from Al-Qaeda. So that's really what it comes down to. I haven't seen this documentary that you got.
WTC7.
So I'm going to check it out.
What about WTC7?
WTC7?
It's World Trade Center Building 7. I haven't gotten to the research part on that yet, so I don't have any answer to that, but it's the one that fell that people said that proves that there was a demolition by the Jewish dude.
They talked about that in Loose Change as well.
Yeah.
A plane didn't even hit that building, right? For the chat who doesn't know, that didn't even get hit by a plane. It just crumbled because of debris.
Or fire is what it said.
It literally looks like a controlled demolition. I don't know if I can play right now if I'm going to get deleted, but I want to show people that it just literally is the perfect example of a controlled demolition.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of this documentary that you guys are talking about? I'll check it out.
Harbor.
It's called The New Pearl Harbor.
It's on YouTube, but it's long. It's 5 hours.
It's a 5-hour documentary.
All right, I'm gonna check it out so that way I could be a little bit more educated about it. But I've never seen that one, but I have seen Loose Change.
What does Loose Change talk about?
It's like it was like the first big 9/11 truther film that was made way back in the day. Whenever in this film, when they talk about like people from Popular Mechanics and stuff doing debunks of 9/11 conspiracies, they're talking about the film Loose Change because that was like the original huge 9/11 thing.
This one's very factual. It doesn't make any opinions. It just going all facts. Myron's favorite.
Well, but it's not. The problem is that all of it is just saying like, isn't that kind of weird? Isn't this kind of weird? Wasn't that kind of weird? Like, that's all they're saying in the entire thing. There's not like a single fact that shows, and it's making some extreme claims that military drone planes were flown out of, what, 4 different air bases to take the place of the normal planes, that the civilian airliners were landed somewhere, fake phone calls were made, all those civilians were executed, all the people involved in this have never leaked a single thing ever, despite how fucked up all of it. This is like a crazy fucked up mission that like, all the chain of command was in on it, or at least high enough that they could stop like planes being dispatched. Like, that's like some wild shit. Not to say that it's impossible, but I don't have a single shred of evidence for any of it, and nobody's leaked anything ever showing any of that.
So Myron, you worked for the government for 8 years. You didn't see any shady shit going on?
Well, let me tell you this, from a practicality standpoint, from what Destiny was saying, a lot of people give the government way too much credit, man. A lot of people that work for the government are fucking retards, if I'm going to be honest. They're stupid. You know what I mean? Like a lot of
low-level employees, but not the ones at the top.
A lot of people are, you know, for those who are wondering in here, you know, I used to be an agent with Homeland Security back in the day. So, like, there's a lot of people that are incompetent, lazy, you know, don't go hard. Like, when I was in my office, for example, like, it was unheard of for people to be in office past 6 p.m., 7 p.m. They're like, oh, what are you doing here? You're working too hard. You're a young gun, blah, blah, blah. So, if there was an actual conspiracy, right, and people in the government were behind it, and there was this grand scheme to do all this stuff, dude, someone would have, like, leaked it or something like that. You know what I mean? It would have, like,
or there'd be at least one shred of evidence. Yeah, just one shred, thing, just something.
Dude, people give them way too much credit, man. There's a lot of idiots in the government, guys. Like,
and this is okay. And then hold on, actually, Myron, you can speak on this, please, because I have a federal employee here. Okay, I think that a lot of these theories start, or you can tell me that I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fucking full of shit. But okay, a lot of people think that when they think about all the different agencies of the government, when they think about like the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, they imagine that all these dudes go into the same office, they work together, they're sharing files, they're like super chill with each other. But these like agencies are pretty siloed off from each other. If you want to work with people like across other agencies, you've got to make like requests. There's a whole bunch of bureaucratic
100%.
bullshit you've got to go through. Like, they're not all going to work together and doing all of these things.
I'll tell you guys this. So there's 2 different things that people confuse a lot of the times, right? You have law enforcement and then you have intelligence. They're 2 different worlds, guys. The CIA is not the same as the FBI. Okay, the CIA is, you know, tasked with gathering intelligence internationally. They typically collect on foreign nationals. The FBI is the main intelligence agency in the United States, which is also a law enforcement agency as well. CIA is not a law enforcement agency. Same thing with NSA. NSA is not a law enforcement agency. It's an intelligence agency. So a lot of the times when you want to work with these kinds of guys, right, we call them the spooks, like, it's very difficult to get information from them. A lot of times they'll be like, oh, that's classified, or they don't share information. A big part of the reason why 9/11 happened in the first place was agencies weren't sharing information with each other. Namely, the FBI wasn't talking with the NSA wasn't talking with the CIA, and they weren't all talking together. And then on top of that, the State Department also wasn't talking to these other agencies as well, which is why how these hijackers were able to get the visas in the first place. So
if I can speak real quickly on that, because that's a piece of information I have, right? So according to James Bamford, the NSA had actually picked up communications of Al-Mihar and Al-Hazmi back in '99, who were 2 of the hijackers. But because of internal bureaucratic conflicts between itself and the CIA, they didn't do a full analysis of the information. And when they passed it on, they literally only gave them the fucking first names of the people. They weren't even able to coordinate. Part of what happened, I don't know if you know this, but the TSA didn't exist before 9/11. Part of what happened after 9/11 was trying to get all of these agencies to work together better because they were so poor at communicating beforehand.
Yeah, the Homeland Security did not exist pre 9/11. So 9/11 is actually what sparked the Homeland Security, which then created the TSA.
Yeah, you got your job from that. You got your job because of 9/11.
Oh shit! He's
really,
part of it. Oh no!
Not really, because if I didn't get hired by HSI, I would have been hired by the U.S. Customs Service.
Wait, hold on. What percentage Jewish are you? Hold on.
100%. No. Actually,
what year did they hire Destiny?
I don't know, dude. What year they hired Destiny?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Myron Goldstein over here is yeah.
So going back to what you were saying, like, yes, 100%. The agencies did not share information with each other prior to 9/11. That's why the attacks were able to happen, because there were so many things going on. And then also historically, the FBI and CIA have always had issues with each other as far as like sharing information. And everyone is like, you know, if you want to get information from another agency, it's very bureaucratic. You got to fill out, you know, outside agency forms, all this other shit. If it's classified, then it becomes a pain in the ass. Like, the only way you're really going to be able to get information and share it is if, like, you're a part of a JTTF or something like that. But even then, it still becomes bureaucratic.
Also, where are all of the civilians that were on the airliners that the government supposedly landed somewhere else?
Yeah.
Does that bother you? Like, were they just executed by government agents in like an unprecedented?
There's not
and
enough
no one has said
evidence.
anything about it. Nobody had a problemed conscience. Nobody was like, this is a little fucked up. Snowden or Manning didn't have any files to leak when they leaked a bunch of stuff about the government. Like, nobody else had any. Doesn't that seem kind of fucking insane? There's not a single report out of any one of the military bases these military drones must have flown out of to swap places with the commercial airliners that supposedly fly into the buildings. Nobody got a compelling shot. Or when they said that, when they said in Pennsylvania that one airliner that was shot down, was that the one plane that wasn't swapped with a military drone, but the other three were? They intended to shoot that one down? Was that plane from the start? And where's the F-16 that would have been chasing that one to shoot the missile at it? Like, why was it just a mysterious white plane? What the fuck even is that? Like, was it an Area 51 UFO? Like.
Yeah, and Sneako, I know you had asked about like how did they learn how to fly the planes? They were in flight school, bro. Actually, down here, like some of them were down here in Florida.
Really? For how long?
A couple months. A couple of them were down here.
And they just moved to America. They start going to flight school, and they weren't flagged as suspicious.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying before. The State Department was not communicating, you know, with the other agencies as well. FBI was sharing information. CIA wasn't sharing information because some of these guys had hit the radar, right? Of these
one got actually rejected for a bad passport. Yeah.
Yeah, but prior to 9/11, agencies weren't really sharing information like that. Like the JTTF existed, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, but it wasn't as how do I say? It wasn't as efficient as it is today. With like sharing information and everything else like that. But yeah, dude, like matter of fact, I know that for a fact because it was the U.S. Customs Service that was doing the investigation into some of those guys, or an INS back then. And then after the 9/11 happened, FBI came in and took all their fucking shit. I know that for a fact because when I was working, an analyst that used to work for Customs, she was like saying, yeah, I was assisting in this investigation. One day FBI came in, they took all the stuff on the flight school information.
But if it was so easy for them to get trained and to take down like some of the biggest buildings in America, why didn't the Cubans do it? Why didn't any of our other enemies do it? Why hasn't Russia done that? It wasn't even that much of an organized effort. It seemed like they just got in there, and Destiny's like, oh, it doesn't matter. They had no training. It was on a suicide mission. They didn't give a fuck. It was really easy to hit the most important buildings in America without any much of a planned attack.
It was a terrorist attack in '93. Destiny was talking about it earlier. It was, the car bomb occurred in '93, and then there was terrorist attacks in the '70s as well from Croatians, and Cubans did do some terrorist attacks here in the United States as well. But a lot of times it was on embassies, like for their country that they hate.
Yeah, and then also you got to keep in mind that like Russia coordinating a terrorist attack like this would be crazy. One of the things that gave these guys the advantage too is, and one of the reasons why it was so easy to find them, I think within 72 hours the FBI knew every single hijacker, is because they didn't give a fuck if they got found. They weren't trying to hide their connections. They weren't trying to like obfuscate who they were. Like they went to the airports using their real names. Like they had their real baggage and shit. Like we found like passports and some of these dudes checked luggage that actually like was their real name. So like I don't think Russia would want to send agents and then have that known internationally that they've got people hijacking planes and trying to obfuscate that the entire time. Al-Qaeda didn't give a fuck if they got found. They just wanted to crash the planes.
The name of the documentary is called The New Pearl Harbor, and it's proven that Pearl Harbor and even, you know about the Gulf of Tonkin resolution?
That is not proven. That's a whole other conspiracy theory that you have to dive into. But
you know about the Gulf of Tonkin resolution?
No. Fill me in.
We lied about the Vietnamese blowing up this boat so that we could have a motive to go to war. Americans need to have a motive and a reason to go to war. Just like Pearl Harbor, the Japanese blew up that military base, and then we had a reason to go join the war.
Okay.
Vietnam War, all the hippies were protesting. No, I don't want to go. We shouldn't go to Vietnam. We have no business going there. So they lied and said that the Vietnamese blew up this boat, and then we went into war. Okay. So why can we not apply that same logic to 9/11?
I'm pretty sure that this entire narrative is a total lie as well, but yeah.
They lie about these angry... No, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution is proven. That's not even a conspiracy. Look, Google it right now. I'm going to show the stream. Why can we not apply that same logic to 9/11? You make up a terrorist attack, reason to go to Iraq. We're still in Iraq and Afghanistan. We still have soldiers today.
We're out of Afghanistan and Iraq.
That's what you're talking about. I'll definitely check it out, man. I'm open-minded to checking different things out. I don't let my prior experience in law enforcement like clout my judgment. Like I'll definitely check it out and see because I'll be able to, because I have because I've seen the 9/11 investigation from another lens because I was behind the scenes. So I'll definitely go ahead and look at this documentary and see like what's true, what's not, whatever it may be. I'm always open to seeing other viewpoints.
What were the viewpoints in that other documentary that you're talking about?
Loose change, but that's been largely debunked. That's why there's like, this is the new one. It's because a lot of the loose change stuff has already been dealt with. So the new Pearl Harbor is like the new big one that people talk about.
Yeah, loose change is like, it came out, what, like a decade ago, Destiny, at this point? Like, yeah,
maybe loose change is pretty old, isn't it?
Yeah, basically it's very similar, you know, saying, hey, there's no way that the tower would have fell that way. It was a demolition. It wasn't a plane hitting it, whatever. Very similar stuff to what you're talking about right now with this new Pearl Harbor, which I'll check out.
Films were released between 2005 and 2009. There were a few.
Yeah. Like when Sneako was a baby.
I was in middle school. Well, Myron, in your experience, like 8 years working for Homeland Security, you didn't notice any shady shit? You didn't notice them, like, don't they torture people and not tell anybody? Rat out the government a little bit. What do they do sneakily behind the scenes?
So here's the thing, dude. I was a special agent, which means I did criminal investigations. What you're talking about is typically going to be on the dark side with the CIA, NSA, etc. Waterboarding people and, you know, enhanced interrogation techniques. That's what a lot of the times the intel community does abroad in other countries. You're not doing that in criminal cases where you're trying to secure prosecution. Two different worlds.
And you didn't hear no shady shit.
Wait, okay, wait. Can I phrase this? This is the difference that I'm trying to get across to you, okay? And I would never say this, okay? I would never say that the government doesn't do shady shit or that some of our intelligence agencies don't do shady shit. Of course
that. You trust the government blindly.
No, you got to listen to me, dude. I'm not saying that. I don't trust it blindly. You trust people on BitChute blindly, okay? Chill, all right? It is possible that the FBI can do shady shit. Of course, they have. It's possible the CIA could do shady shit. It's possible the TSA or the NSA could do shady shit. I believe that. There are things like MK Ultra and shit. That's happened. Those are real things. But what you're talking about for 9/11 is an interagency cooperation to do shady shit, and that elevates it to a whole other level of insanity. That's a whole other thing that we're talking about. And also, the shady shit that organizations usually do, at the very least, the people think they're working to the benefit of the United States. When you talk about like Abu Ghraib, when you talk about like Guantanamo Bay, was it fucked up? Yeah, for sure. But they weren't torturing and murdering like American civilians by the thousands to false flag. They were people that probably thought ostensibly they were doing good things for the country. Not that that makes it okay, or not that it excuses it. So those are two huge differences. One is that you're not talking about killing thousands of US citizens, and two, we're talking about an interagency, massive conspiracy sprawling across the entire US government.
You're saying that that's so crazy, but what about Snowden? Why were they able to keep hush mode on the mass surveillance of everything going on, the spying, but you can't apply the same logic to 9/11?
Mass surveillance from one of our intelligence organizations. That I can believe that. I would believe that. Or if you tell me that like the FBI has like treated some prisoners horribly or done some fucked up shit, I would believe that. But we're not talking about massive coordination across all of our intelligence agencies to fucking kill thousands of US citizens. That's a way different thing.
Did you hear anything about Snowden before it was released?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I know about, you know, NSA collecting, which is, you know, unheard of, like to be collecting. The biggest issue with that was they were collecting on US citizens. Intelligence agencies typically aren't supposed to do that. So that's why that caused such an issue.
Did you have surveillance that a lot of normal civilians didn't have? Like, were you able to go spy on phones and shit like that before it was released that's the NSA was spying?
So again, let me bring this in. So there's two different worlds. There's the law enforcement world, and then there's the intelligence world. When you're in the law enforcement world, everything's got to be transparent. I'll give you an example. Right now with Trump, right? They did a search warrant on his house. They went ahead and had to go to a magistrate to go ahead and get that search warrant. That search warrant, already they're starting to, you know, put it out there, because when you do criminal investigations, everything has to be put through a U.S. court. When it's go through a U.S. court, that means it's discoverable, which means the public has an access to it. Right now, anybody on this chat can go to pacer.gov, right, and search up the Trump search warrant and get all the documents. The intel world does not necessarily have to abide by those rules. So law enforcement and intel are two different worlds. So, you know, if an agent's going to listen to your phone or whatever it may be, he has to do something called a Title III intercept. Okay, which is basically listening to your phones, real time, your emails, whatever it may be, and that's real time monitoring of some type of medium that you're using to communicate with someone. You need an affidavit to do that, which typically can be between 50 to 100 pages, where you establish your probable cause, why what they're doing is criminal, and then the facility that they're using to commit the crime is illegal. So, for example, they're using a telephone to facilitate drug trafficking. Bam, you write an affidavit. I know that this phone is used to do such and such. And then you're able to go ahead and listen into that phone, that, you know, or if I know this meeting place is where they do criminal activity, you're able to bug up the room. That's how the FBI was able to take down the mafia. But in the intel world, they need way less, okay? Because they're able to put everything under national security, right? Thanks to the Patriot Act.
Yeah, you got the Patriot Act from 9/11, right?
Yeah, it came after 9/11. But that, I just want to make that distinction that, like, law enforcement and the intel world are two different things. Now, there's something called the FISA court, right? Foreign Surveillance Act, right? Where you can go ahead and you can get, you know, FISA warrants or whatever it may be. That is different than typically the law enforcement world as well, because now you're getting into more espionage, you're going into national security, getting into terrorism.
FISA, is that the court you go through to do spying domestically if you're like the CIA or NSA? Is that what the FISA court was for?
Yeah, if you need to basically articulate that your investigation has like some type of national security nexus.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
To get into the FISA courts, that's a whole other world, because now those documents aren't going to be discoverable to the same level as like criminal investigations with a regular court.
Look, that theory, the new Pearl Harbor theory, you could apply to 9/11, and also, have you heard about Operation Northwood?
Oh my dude, there's like a million things.
Operation Northwoods, America's top military leaders reportedly drafted plans to kill innocent people and commit acts of terrorism in U.S. cities to create public support for war against Cuba. America's done that time and time again.
This wasn't actually done, though. This was shot down because it was fucked up.
They plan to do it.
That's the job of our intelligence agencies, to plan crazy shit. And then hopefully you've got people at the top that are making calls on whether we go through with it or not. But it was ultimately shot down. Nuclear warfare was also crazy shit. We fucking bombed 2 huge cities with fucking nuclear bombs. That was some crazy shit too. But like,
this is proof that the government is capable of lying to get public support for a war.
But you don't. Just like, no, it's not about lying. We're not talking about lying to get public support for war. I believe the government could do that. I personally think there was some level of that happening when it came to justification to invade Iraq, when it came to them having biological weapons or chemical weapons or weapons of mass destruction. I think that there was some. There's a whole thing called the Office of Special Plans, and that's a whole separate thing that you could argue was done in bad faith. But I'm telling you that that is different than getting federal employees. These are your neighbors. These are normal fucking people. Federal employees to get on board with a plan to kill 3,000 plus Americans to do a false flag attack. That's like a whole other fucking thing.
Myron, how much do you trust the government? You're right. Do you vote right or left?
I typically tend to swing a little bit more conservative.
Okay, so how much do you trust the government, and how much is that influenced by your time working for the government?
Here's the thing, man. Like I said before, a lot of people give the government way too much credit. They're not. A lot of them are not as smart as people think they are, and they're not as hardworking as people think they are. You know, there's a reason why they call it Federal Friday. They're out the office by 2-3 p.m. So that's how the federal government works. Now, as far as me trusting the government, hey man, I worked for the government from 2010 all the way to 2020. It was a good time. I had a good, I did a lot of investigations, but remember, I was in a law enforcement capacity. I was not an intel person. The intel world is a whole other thing. There's a reason why they keep the CIA budget classified. They don't necessarily say how much money they get per year. Yes, they do a bunch of shady things behind the scenes, and some of it may or may not be deemed as ethical, but that's what you got to do sometimes to have the leverage as the world superpower. So I get it. But
do you trust the government?
Different worlds.
But do you trust like the government as a system? Destiny keeps talking about the system of the government. Do you trust
hold on, real quick to get my point across clearly, so you're not misrepresenting me. I'm not saying that you have to trust every section of the government. I'm just saying you have to look at the
sections. You're not
going to let me finish. You have to look at what the government is capable of, and you have to. What I trust. This is what I would trust. Okay, I would trust that if the government was trying to coordinate some large-scale assassination of like 3,000 plus Americans, that the people inside would say something. That's what I would trust in the government. I don't trust the government to run efficiently or to do everything perfectly, but I think there's enough checks and balances in the system that a broad-reaching conspiracy like that would come out. That's what I would trust.
It seems like Myron agrees with you that there's different factions of the government. You can't all lump them into one system. But do you trust the government in general?
Not even agreeing, Nico. That's a fact. I'm telling you this from my experience of just knowing how to do it.
Okay, but you're kind of avoiding the question. Do you trust the government?
For the most part, yes. But there's definitely some things that I don't agree with.
Do you think the government is capable of lying to get public support for war?
I mean, dude, that's been going on since the beginning of time. I think you'd be foolish to not think that they're capable of doing that.
It's possible that they lied about 9/11.
With 9/11, dude, I'm not so sure because there's so much evidence. They declassify a lot of the things from the 9/11 situation, man. Like from how the attacks happened to the people identified, how they identified them, whatever. All that stuff is public record nowadays. You can see it all.
Actually, if you watch the documentary, a lot of the interviews and a lot of what's in the 9/11 Commission report is still classified information. That's you saw, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that still is classified, sure. A lot of stuff around airplane security and shit is classified. Dude, I don't even think you can film episodes on, like, fucking airplane security, like when you're doing TV. Like, a lot of that shit is classified. I don't know why it is. If I knew exactly why, they probably wouldn't have to classify it.
I'll tell you guys why. A lot of the times, the reason why stuff is classified, guys, isn't necessarily because the information in itself is that secret. It's how the information that was...
You don't want to burn sources and stuff. Yeah.
That's why. So whenever things are classified or it's, oh, this is secret or whatever it may be, it might not even be that serious. It's that they got the information through a means where it would burn that source or burn that confidential human source or that whatever or an investigative technique. That's why it's classified a lot of the times.
And what do you think about the United States response to 9/11, the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq? Do you think that was a proper response to what happened?
Yeah, the Iraq invasion made no sense to me.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Did invading Iraq and Afghanistan make sense as in response to 9/11?
I think invading Afghanistan made sense 100%. Iraq was wild. Iraq was
a bunch of like Egyptians and Saudis.
No, it's not about it. The idea was that the Afghanistan government, the Taliban, was giving basically shielding to people that were destroying the United States, the Al-Qaeda, and they refused to cooperate with us when it came time to turning those people over. So we decided to go into Afghanistan and fuck their shit up. I don't know what the fuck happened with Iraq. I don't know where that came from or why the fuck that was bullshit. But
they've had a hold on for Saddam like since the 90s. They've had an issue with Saddam for a long time.
Sure,
so, like,
which is fair. Saddam was a fucked up dude. But if you weren't going to get rid of Saddam after the first Gulf War, I mean, you left him there, so you kind of have to deal with it. So, yeah, I think Iraq was fucked for sure, but Afghanistan was for sure okay.
Finished what his dad couldn't finish.
Yeah,
you know
I've heard that meme before. Yeah, he tried to kill his daddy, blah blah blah. But
so the government knew, and they used 9/11 as an excuse to go into Iraq. Correct?
Well, no, they didn't. Kind of, but not really. Iraq, they needed WMDs, remember? Which was probably bullshit.
Bullshit. What do you mean? It was all bullshit.
They didn't find any weapons of mass destruction.
They knew there wasn't any. And Destiny, you adamantly trust the government so much. Think about all the senators.
Why do you keep hold on?
All the people that you love. You're a fucking Biden beta boy. Didn't all those, like Hillary Clinton, all these people voted for the war in Iraq, and they all knew it was horseshit. WMDs.
Okay.
And you still trust them.
If you're going to listen to me, you need to listen to what the fuck I'm saying instead of just repeating like these retarded.
What the fuck you're saying.
No, you're a bot, dude. You repeat the most bot talking points ever, okay? So this is my understanding, and I'd have to go back and read more, okay? Because I don't know everything. This is my understanding for how justification. This is my understanding for how you don't even know anything about any of these topics, okay?
So homework before you watch a movie, yeah.
Because I like to do my homework. The justification for the Iraq War came from a special division that was created by Bush to take unvetted and unverified intelligence and pass it all the way up to the chain of command. The Office of Special Plans was literally created for them to take unverified intelligence from the field and then use that for justification for things like WMDs. I'm pretty sure the CIA and the NSA, I believe, fought against the creation of that and the unvetted intelligence that passed up through that. So when you look at it that way and you say, Destiny, don't you trust the government? Yeah, I do when all the agencies are working together. But when you're literally creating a side thing to take unvetted, I don't trust that. And I wouldn't trust that. And I don't. And I still don't to this day. I think that was bullshit from my understanding of how that functioned. But that's an example of going around the mechanisms that I believe are in place in our intelligence agencies to make sure that shit isn't going off the fucking wire. Okay.
I will say this: being here in the middle of this is pretty awesome. Watching you guys debate and argue things, so very interesting.
Yeah.
Destiny, I did hear you say something about bringing some girls on the show or something like that. 6 girls?
It would be really fun to grab like 6 to 8 of like my friends or whatever to bring them on. It would just be a wild show because they're so different than the Miami people, but it would be funny to see it.
We could do it, man. I mean, here's the thing, Destiny. I've heard this a bunch of times. Like, yo, you guys only bring stupid OnlyFans models on, blah, blah, blah. Dude, we brought on girls that are like educated as hell. Well, we had a PhD on yesterday. She still had the same exact talking points as all the other girls, man. I'm telling you, bro.
There's something about the people that come to Miami are wild, man. These girls are fucking on another level of insanity. Okay, even I came from LA and these girls are fucking crazy to me. But I don't know. Maybe I'll bring, if I ever do this, if I set it up and we get them all flown in.
Bring them, dude. Hey man, I fear no debate with any chicks on when it comes to intersexual dynamics. I'd be happy to have that discussion. You know, we could put me, you, and Sneako on, and you could bring your 6 friends. But dude, I'm telling you, man, the hardware does not change the software. A lot of girls have the same exact talking points, same indoctrination about feminism, thinking that they're equal to men, etc., regardless of their education level.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
we all believe the same shit. Wait, Destiny, one more point about 9/11.
Yeah.
If the fucking plane evaporated in the fields in Pennsylvania, they couldn't find any of the ruins. How the fuck did they get the passport?
I don't think the passport came from that plane. It came from the ones near the World Trade Centers.
They found the ones in Pennsylvania too.
Was that for the guy that had the passport that was in his checked bag that didn't make it onto the plane?
I don't know.
Because I thought they found 2 passports in the World Trade Center rubble, and then I thought they had 1 passport from a guy who he checked in for his flights, but the baggage didn't make it onto that plane, so they pulled the passport from his bag.
Yeah. Pretty convenient.
Yeah, is it? Or it could have just happened.
Yeah, sure. I need to do some research too, man. I'm getting hungry, man. I'm trying to like, bro. Do you see how fast Destiny talks, Myron? He's all day like,
because you're spitting out like 400 conspiracies a second. I gotta like respond to like 7 million things.
And I'm just here, like I'm drinking my wine, or I'm about to order some food. Right, I have to like, bro, listening to Destiny all the time, bro. It makes me want to get more autistic. I want to start reading more stuff online. I want to read these books and everything, do homework to videos and shit like that while playing video games at the same time. Talking like this, because no, that's a cognitive dissonance. And I just want to get to that level of debating. I'm getting better like that, but you talk so fucking fast, and I just want to like, but yeah, I'm gonna get better.
I'm
gonna get autistic.
Like I said, I'm always open to other viewpoints, man. So I'll definitely check it out. But like from my point on 9/11 basically is like there isn't enough evidence in my eyes to dispute the fact that we were attacked by terrorists. It's very clear and evident that there's an abundance of information from Bin Laden to the USS Cole attacks, etc. That we were attacked by Bin Laden and his crew. And that's what happened with 9/11. You know what I mean? And I'll watch that documentary and I'll check it out. I'm always open to seeing other viewpoints.
For a debate, we have a debate tomorrow.
Wait, you and me do?
No, me, you, and Nick. We have a debate. Myron, you want to pull up for that?
Wait, hold on. Wait. Our debate is scheduled on the 22nd at 6 o'clock EDT.
Yeah,
okay?
it's the 21st right now.
Okay, well, because we're past midnight. But you have to sleep, wake up, and then it's the next day.
Oh, okay. Do you want to be on there on the 22nd? That's the same day the Creativity Kit is dropping, by the way. Go sign up right now, Sneako.net.
What are y'all debating?
This fucking 5-hour documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, the documentary?
I already know it's good. We're going to go through 30 minutes of it, and it's going to derail, and I'm wasting like 3 days.
And you're going to be yelling at Nick back and forth, and you guys are going to have an autistic, high IQ level conversation. I'm just going to be there like on the bottom, like, yeah, cool. Dope.
I'll definitely tune into it. I'll check it. It's going to be Monday?
Yeah, Monday at 6
Nick is going to be on the guy on the no-fly list. Yeah, but I need to have like another black guy. I need to have some, because like, bro, if I just have always like two white guys going back and forth saying the N-word back and forth, it doesn't
hold on. Listen, I've never said the N-word on this stream before. Okay, so slow down. Okay, calm down.
We don't want to though.
Well, I don't count. They don't count me as a black guy, so I can't do anything, bro. They don't count me as one.
Well, we could both give him a pass if we work together.
Okay, we can maybe equal one, right?
We can equal one pass for Destiny.
One pass.
Yeah, let's.